Are you putting your life on hold for someone else? Are you waiting for someone in your life to make a decision that directly relates to your life? Do you feel as that you're stuck in a rut and you don't know what to do because you're waiting for someone else and you can't make the decision? If you feel like you're in this type of situation, you can't miss this video. Hey friends, glad to be back today, and today I'm asking you this question. Are you putting your life on hold? I know, sometimes we don't really realize when we're doing it, and that's why I wanted to create this video. Because more often than not, we find ourselves waiting to make a decision, and we don't really realize that we're looking at someone to make that decision for us. And more often than not, we're looking to someone to make that decision for us that doesn't have a great track record with even making decisions, and they might not actually be there to make the right decision that we need for ourselves. One of the main things that I figured out throughout my lifetime is that I can't wait for other people to make decisions for me, and if I do, they usually don't pick the right one, and they pick poorly for me, and something bad happens, or I don't find what I'm looking for, or I become unhappy, or I become resentful. So why should we deal with this? First off, I want to talk about some of the ways we find ourselves and some of the situations we find ourselves in when dealing with this particular situation. We find ourselves waiting for others to choose things that we want, we need, or things that we'd like to have happen in our life. Whether it's waiting to get married to see if someone's going to ask us to marry them. Whether it's waiting to see if we're going to have a child. Is this going to happen? Even something as simple as waiting to go on vacation. Or something large as moving to a different location, a different city, a different state. Or what about waiting to get physically healthy? Waiting for that other person, maybe your spouse, to decide to go to the gym with you. And so instead of going to the gym, you find yourself waiting to hope that they're going to get the membership and they'll go with you. What about the same situation, but we talk about mental health? Is that you find yourself waiting, not seeking therapy, not seeking coaching. Because you want to see if your spouse will go with you, but so far they haven't made the decision. So what do? Do we continue to wait for that person to make the decision, or do we finally make a decision? But first, before we can actually decide to make the decision, we have to analyze one thing. Why are we waiting? That's one of the biggest questions. Why do we wait to make a decision? So let's talk about that right now. The first reason is that we can become fearful of making our own decisions. Perhaps many of our decisions in the past haven't been as good as we'd like them to be. And also, more often than not, sometimes we haven't made many decisions in our life. We've actually offset those decisions and had other people making all the decisions, and we weren't really realizing the impact that other people have in our life. You know, when we were kids, our parents were making decisions for us. When we began dating, perhaps our significant other began to make decisions for us. Maybe even now married, you find that your spouse is making more of your decisions for you. So it's something that we need to be aware of, and the only way that we can do that is to have self-awareness. The second reason, and it also directly relates to reason one as well, is that we are codependent with someone else in a relationship, and we're codependent in them making the decisions for us. Okay? And codependency is a real thing. Okay? When we're codependent, we feel like we aren't able to make decisions. We are scared about those decisions. We don't feel that we have enough knowledge or are intelligent enough to make the right decision. We also feel that other people are more aware or more able to make a better decision because we have a low self-esteem, a low self-worth. And so we look at that other person to decide for us because we think they know more than us, or they think they know better than us. And that's something that I think we clearly need to understand in this situation, because many of us don't realize the level of codependence that we have in a relationship. And we also don't realize how much power we're giving the other person. Because we haven't ever seen the power within us, and we're not igniting that power, we're actually giving our power away. And so this is something that we really want to acknowledge. So if you're thinking right now, you know what, I haven't made a lot of decisions in my life, and I do put a lot of energy and a lot of weight on my spouse, I want you to kind of step back right now and start thinking about the past and going back to the last time you really made a big decision in your life. Because sometimes it could be that that decision didn't work out, and we feel scared to repeat that same type of thing. But other times, maybe it's because we don't have practice enough doing it, right? We've always asked someone else to do it, or we've always waited on them to do it, because that's been basically the way we've lived our entire life. The third reason, and I think that this is obvious, is that a lot of times we just haven't made a lot of decisions for ourselves. We just haven't made a plethora of decisions, so we really don't know where to begin. Also, sometimes we don't really exactly know what we want. And that's a big deal. And I think that when we're not taking control of our life and we're not seeing the value we have and we're not seeing our self-worth, we really don't know what we want in our life. Because what? Because we don't even realize that we can attain that in life. Okay? If I have a low self-worth and I don't believe in myself, right? How can I believe that I'm going to attain this amazing goal that I want to attain? I'm not even going to think about that goal because right now I'm just trying to maintain. Right? I'm just trying to focus on day by day. But when we begin to realize our power, that's when we begin to realize that we have options. And I think that until we know our value, we don't even see that we have options. So we can't really have clarity as to what we truly want in our life. The fourth reason is that we feel that others know more than we do. Okay? Clearly, we think that someone else is going to know more, is going to be smarter, faster, stronger, better, and they can make that decision. And that goes back to self-esteem, right? That goes back to self-worth. That goes back in belief in self. And that internalizes that whole entire concept of codependency, because that's what codependency is based on, right? Because we're actually with that other person and that person fuels us, right? Makes us feel better about ourselves, right? Because we haven't found the self-worth within ourselves to feel good about that and stand alone in that, right? So all this stuff goes hand in hand. None of it is in a vacuum, okay? All of it is continuous. So the fact that we feel others can make better decisions is a major reason why we stand back on the sidelines and wait. Because we feel as though we haven't made a good decision or we're not going to make a good decision, and so we're waiting on them. And we can find ourselves in limbo because oftentimes that person's not ready to make the decision, they're not willing or ready to make a decision for you, or their decision is going to be antithetical to your values and what you really want and your beliefs. And so the only way that you can really step up to that is understanding what you stand for, your beliefs, your values, your personal value, and then understanding what you really want to achieve in this life. And that's not going to happen if we're waiting for someone else to make the decision for us that is probably going to choose incorrectly for our values, our desires, and our beliefs. And the last reason is we've made some poor decisions in the past, right? I think all of us have made not such good choices, right? We made some not so good decisions. I've done it in my life, okay? And I've been in situations where I've done that and I've gotten scared. I've gotten gun shy, you might say, of making another decision because I don't want to choose poorly. But I can actually look back and realize the reasons why I chose poorly is I didn't have enough knowledge on the subject and I didn't really know what I wanted out of my life. Because if I don't really know what I want and I don't know what my goal is and I don't know what I have to in this lifetime, if I don't know that, then how can I pick or choose wisely? It's like being in a dark room and just trying to find the outlet, find the light switch. It's going to be really hard to find. And the only way that we can turn on that light, per se, is to have self-awareness on what makes you tick. Instead of wondering what everybody else wants in life, instead of doing what they want, it's about really figuring out you. And more often than not, we don't figure that out until we realize that our whole life has been about what everybody else wants. Maybe we were taking care of mom and dad. Maybe we were walking around on eggshells in a toxic family dynamic. And maybe we grew up in that codependent dynamic because of the way we were raised, okay? And then all of a sudden we get into a relationship, we get older, it's the same type of thing, it's the same type of pattern. And again, and we haven't really found ourselves because we've been too busy either being the victim or the savior in these relationships. And we haven't really taken any time to figure out what makes us tick, to figure out who we are as an individual. And you know what I've said on multiple videos, our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we can ever have, okay? And most of us never get to know ourselves. And that's why people at the end of their life have such sheer regret with what they've missed out on. Because they've been trying to impress everybody else, get everybody else to love them and accept them. But the fallacy is that they never accepted themselves. And that's the whole basis of codependency right there in a nutshell. When we're codependent, we don't accept ourselves. We never have. We want them to accept us and we'll do whatever it takes for them to accept us, right? But in the process, we are dying, okay, spiritually. We're dying as a mental growth situation there because we're not allowing ourselves to find out how to accept ourselves. And one of the best ways to begin to accept yourselves is to accept the faults in the past, accept the bad choices you made, and begin to change that pattern and begin to make solid choices, no matter how small they are, right? It doesn't matter. Picking what you're going to eat that night. choosing to take a job, choosing to apply for a job, choosing to even go to a conference for 2 days on something you really want to go to and not asking permission from everybody else around you. It's those small incremental things that change it, that allow us to see within ourselves and see that value. I think that last statement was profound. You might want to rewind the YouTube video on that one. But I do want to continue a little bit on how we can begin to stop this cycle. Okay, let's continue. The first thing goes directly back to what I was talking about, recognizing when you're in the passenger seat of your own life. Okay, when someone else is in the driver's seat, you know, whether that's your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mother, your father, your aunt, uncle, whoever that is, your boss. Okay, who's driving? You need to be driving. And you need to realize, because that means directly about that approval stuff I was talking about just a second ago, that means that you actually need that person's approval and you are strategically waiting for them to make the choice for you, right? But we haven't really approved ourselves, because there's no way, once you get actual solid self-approval, there's no way that anybody is in the driver's seat of your life. I mean, we love other people and we care about other people, but we wouldn't trust something as amazing as our own life in someone else's hands that's a human being. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we would actually, at that point in time, when we realize that, that's when we realize the value of our life, right? We value it more than waiting on someone else to make a decision, right? That decision might not be the right thing for us. Okay. The second thing we want to do to stop this cycle is to identify the poor self-esteem. Okay, this is big. When you have a low self-esteem and a low self-worth, you're going to defer for other people to make decisions for you. You're going to assume that you can't make the right decision, and you're going to also fear the decision you make, because you're always going to mistrust that decision because you mistrust yourself. That's key. And that's one of the big enchiladas right there, right? Because if you don't have that self-esteem and you don't feel good about yourself, even if you make the right decision, you're going to question it a million times. And you might not even follow through with it. And if you do, you're still going to have in the back of your head that you did the wrong thing. The third thing is that you want to identify the lack of trust you have for yourself. And that directly relates to self-esteem. When we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our gut, how can we make the right decision? But how do we begin to trust our gut? Okay, how do we do that? Well, we have to make decisions. We have to make decisions based on knowledge, on the way we feel, right? On what feels best for us, what feels good, what doesn't feel toxic, right? I don't know about you, but I've made decisions where I've fallen into toxic behaviors and it feels really gross, okay? It feels really bad. You know, I've been in decisions with people where I'm talking and I've made a choice to do something and I can barely look them in the eye because I know they're going to lie to me every second chance they get. Okay, so I want you to be aware of your gut. Okay, and the only way you can do that is by priming it. You can't just go one day and say, I'm going to listen to my gut, and I haven't listened to it my whole life. It doesn't work that way, okay? But you have to slowly but surely open up that communication. And most of it's based on feeling. You know, when I'm in a situation, I know truthfully and honestly who I am. I understand my value, and it took me a long way to get here. It didn't take overnight, okay? It took me years to get where I am. And then when I figured that out, I know exactly what I'm looking for in life. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to come and what form it's going to show up. I'm not expecting people to do certain things, but I know the trajectory of what I want and where I am and where I'm going. And that's what I'm talking about, clarity. That's when you turn the light on in the room, right? The room's no longer dark anymore. You can see, you're not fumbling around. And that's one of the basis of being able to stop this cycle, because we don't have the ability to stop the cycle. We don't have the self-value. We don't know where we want to go. We haven't realized the trigger of having a low self-esteem. How can we even begin to stop it, right? Knowledge is power. The fourth thing that I want you to realize is that codependency is directly related to that difficult time of making decisions, right? If you're having a difficult time or you're doubting yourself, that directly relates to codependency. Okay, so I want you to catch that. The next time that you begin to doubt yourself, or the next time you defer decisions, or the next time you have trouble making a decision, no matter how hard the decision or how easy the decision, I want you to begin to realize and be self-aware, where is this coming from? Okay, and a lot of times it started a long time ago. Okay, but you can become aware of the situation, and that's the only way that we become self-aware, is to actually become mindful of why we're doing things instead of going through the motion and just keep being codependent. I don't know why I'm the victim. I don't know why I'm stuck in this situation. I can't believe that my husband can't make a decision about having a child. I can't believe so-and-so can't make a decision about us getting married. I'm so frustrated. I'm so angry. My life is so horrible. I can't find anything that I need to do in my life. I'm stuck. That is the consideration of being stuck. And that's based on the fact that we are not making decisions because we're letting someone else make the decisions, because we're scared, because we doubt ourselves so much that we're going to make the right decision, that we would rather feel stuck. And I don't know about you, but the last time I felt stuck, I felt pretty angry. And it doesn't feel very good. And it feels like you're wasting your life, because that's exactly what's happening. Last but not least is I want you to just get real with your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings. Get into your feelings, not trying to avoid your feelings, right? We like to sweep our feelings under the rug. We don't want to feel that way. You know, maybe we drink something, or maybe we take a pill. Maybe we get stuck in work and we just put so much work on top of us, we don't feel how we feel, right? We avoid it. And so I want you to begin to stop avoiding your feelings, because the more you keep pushing those out, the farther you are from you. Okay, so you've got to acknowledge what your feelings are. What do you actually want in this life? Okay, what do you want? I mean, be honest with yourself. Do you want to get married? Do you not want to get married? Do you want to stay married? Do you want to get divorced? Do you want to have a child? What do you want to do? Do you want to travel the world? What do you want to do? I mean, and yes, a lot of it has to be feasible, but think about it. You don't have to do what other people want you to do, right? You don't have to do what society deems as what people should do. You need to get deep in there and figure out what is going to give you meaning, more meaning in your life. Because I want, real quick, meaning in your life is not found outside of you. And I'm going to do a long video on that eventually, okay? But not today. But when we look outside of ourselves for meaning, that's when we get lost, right? So I want you to feel the pain of when you're waiting for other people to make decisions for you. I want you to really get into that pain. I want you to get into that emptiness. I want you to get into that anger. I want you to get into that resentment. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel what it feels to be stuck. And then I want you to really ask yourself, why am I stuck? Why am I choosing to be stuck? Because being stuck is a choice. And normally it goes back to the fact that we're waiting for someone else to make the decision to unstuck us, right? But we're the only ones that can unstick ourselves. Okay, well, I hope this video has helped you, and I hope that you can realize the cycle that exists, and to stop waiting for other people to make decisions for you, and to stop waiting to live. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And please give us a like on this video if you like the video and it has helped you. And one question, is there anything that you've unstuck yourself on, whether it's family or work or anything, and something that you've changed and you've stopped the cycle with? Could you put that in the comment section below and let us know how you did it? Very valuable information, and this group that we're in here, this community, can learn from one another. Hope that this video has helped you, and in the meantime, don't forget to live your true life.